you. Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to CEC28 monthly calendar meeting for June 2020. Today is June 4th, 2020. My name is Vijay Ramjan, CEC President, and I want to welcome all of you to this meeting. It's a hot, warm day outside, and happy to spend the evening with you all over here. The wonderful parents and students. I see some students on board tonight, principals, administrators, and of course, our excellent and amazing CEC council members on this call, not forgetting our principals. We have Paul DeCock is here also. Thank you, Paul, for being here. Before we continue, I'll do the roll call at this point. So we can unmute all of our council members, please. And just you see the word present or here. Barbara Williams.
Here.
Robert Tamayev.
Here.
Elena Amenova.
Here.
Andy Matus King. Andy Matus King. Andy Matus King. Okay, not excused. Erica Cooper.
Present.
Kelly Ted Chang.
Here.
Micah Morrison.
Here.
Howard Pollock.
Present.
And Vijay Ramjan, I'm here. Once again, before we go any further into tonight's meeting, we would like to do a moment of silence for one of our countrymen, one of our fellow citizens who has lost his life tragically, and at the 1 minute of silence starts now. Thank you very much. I appreciate all of you maintaining a moment of silence. And we share, it's a very heavy week that we had, heavy couple of weeks. And we want to tell you that we lift your voices. We as a community, we are comrades together, and we are here with each other, now and always. Okay, once again, welcome to CEC28. We want to thank all of you for joining this meeting on a monthly basis. I'm so happy now that this something good that came out of this whole pandemic so far has been the actual platform in which we can host this meeting, right? Many times when we have these meetings in physical forms, only so many parents can join, right? And so many families can join our meetings. And now on a platform like this, we can have so many more family members from all parts of our district join the conversation and be a part and be a partner with the CEC28. And more importantly, to share your views and your opinions about various things that affect your child's education in this district, and I'm sure education as a whole. In this call also, we are so happy to always have so many school personnel, principals, teachers, administrators, and various levels of the school personnel join this call. And we are so happy to have all of you always with us. And I want to encourage all of you that whenever we get back to whatever platform we may have to host these meetings, I hope that we can continue to collaborate and to share our voices together as one voice of District 28. And I'm happy that the CEC28 has become that platform that we can share our voices together. I want to acknowledge our wonderful team of CEC members. Our council has been working tirelessly, has been joining to various meetings, reading up, following up. And if you think you parents also have, we are also parents, right? And once you think you have to also keep on touch with all what's happening, we have to keep on top of top, because we have to answer questions, and we are all working and homeschooling and doing it all. And I want to commend our CEC members and our Council 28 members for being great partners in leadership of D28. Great job, everyone. Before I continue, my dear friends, we are asking all of you, today we are discussing something very, very important. Today is the public comment section. We have a special big gap of time to discuss the 2021-2022 NYC schools admission policy, especially when it comes to screened schools. Recently, we've had a public engagement from the DOE on last week, Thursday, and you may have noticed that CEC28 did not make a very broad statement, but a neutral statement, because we did not get feedback from our parents on a platform like this that is neutral. We have received feedback from various groups in our community, but we don't know where those comments came from, who also, we weren't sure if that was representative of the whole district, at least from what we know. So today's platform, we're asking you all, we are gonna have the public comment section, but before we do so, we're gonna have at least an hour and a half of left open for public comments when it comes to specifically the school admissions policy. And we're going to ask everyone to please keep your comments to 90 seconds so we can accommodate many more people. And in the chat box, please type your name and the word speak in uppercase. I see some of you did it in lowercase. That's fine too. And our amazing Elena Amanova will be tracking your names to mark it down in order in which was received, so we can call upon your name when is your turn to speak. We always ask for it to be respectful. So before we go any further, I will ask our dear Dr. Tammy Pate, our superintendent, to please begin her report at this time. Dr. Pate? You're muted.
Yep. So hi, good evening, everyone. Again, it is a pleasure to serve. It is an honor to be in front of you on today. There is something really wonderful about looking down and seeing the participant number of 101. I'm not turning it into a competition, but we had a few more last time. So I think reach out to someone and tell them to jump on the CEC call, this meeting. It's a joy to know that we have such involved parents and community support and district and central support. It's a pleasure to be in front of you on today and have the honor of speaking. I have a very, very short report and would just like to share some of the great things that are going on and some of the highlights of the work that we have been doing. I also want to give a grand shout out to our principals who are in the house on today. Thank you so much. We've had super long days of late. They begin really early and they end really late. My apologies for my late night emails to some of you. We're just all trying to make it all count, right? Got one time to get this right. So I do want to just talk to you briefly about some of the things that are out and about with the district. The last time I was in front of you, we were talking about our work around increasing attendance, daily attendance and engagement at each of our schools. And I'm happy to report that as of today, we have gone, I think we're just teetering on 91. We're almost at 92% of daily attendance within the district. That is up from 89% during our last meeting. And so I'm really proud of the work that every school is doing in terms of their outreach to families and to students, and how we're really being thoughtful about what instruction looks like, really promoting live instruction across the district. And so many of our schools and our teachers are taking this as a personal challenge. And so they're doing some really great work. And to that end, we began to visit classrooms some time ago. We probably started visiting classrooms after the third week of remote learning. We wanted to give everyone an opportunity to really get comfortable in the space, and then we started visiting classrooms. And we saw such great practice. We saw innovative practice. We saw folk just being, they were taking a chance and going out of their comfort zone. Some teachers who really did not engage in any kind of tech-enabled instruction in a normal brick and mortar setting are now, creating Padlets for their students to participate and actively be engaged. And because of that, I proposed an initiative with the Borough Support, Borough Central Office, and asked for support from Teaching and Learning. And I'm happy to report that shortly we will begin a series with our district teachers and just a sprinkling of administrators to produce a document of best practice for remote learning. Getting the best out of children in the remote setting. And so this is, I've titled it For Teachers, by Teachers, with a sprinkling of admin. I know that's a little cheeky, but what I wanted to do was really call out and call forward innovative practice that is happening in classrooms across our district. And I know that this is going to be a pretty significant piece. We're hoping to get it published and share with our District 28 family and sometime in mid-July. So look out for that. I think it's a great opportunity to just shout out great practice across our district. And you know what this feels like. It's sort of the knowing of crowds. If we put it forward and we celebrate it, and we can hope to norm it across our district. It's not lost on me some of the things that you've been asking for with regard to live instruction. And while I told you I cannot move unions, I do know how to move people. And so if we create great practice and we make that something that we are celebrating wildly, then I believe that in time we will get that to be our norm across this great district. We deserve nothing less, and we have the talent to get it done. And so that's what we are working on even at this moment. We've already completed surveys. It is underway. So we should have that for you by mid-July. As to our, I know Sonia is probably on this call as well. We have some great numbers with regard to technology and the distribution, and requests for technology is up slightly, 10,557 devices. And of that, we are only awaiting on hold. There are 38 on hold and 75 requests that are yet to be delivered. And those, a lot of those are students who were new to our district. There's a handful of students that were new to our district and some who had issues or tech issues with their technology. And so, you know, it's a lot late. I promise you, we are yards ahead of where other districts are within the Department of Education. And that is largely because of the work of Sonia Rueda and Rosa Fenton, who have been ferocious in following these statistics and these numbers across the district. And so I wanted to shout them out for doing a great job. We are going to talk a lot about enrollment. I know that you all have heard many things also about some leadership changes across our district, and I want to stand solid and sure that District 28 is A-okay. There is no leadership change in our district. I told them if it's 6 months, it will be a glorious 6 months, but I'm pretty sure I'm safe. But we want to just say to everyone that we're continuing to do the work that matters. We had President's Council on Tuesday, and during President's Council, they asked a question about search committees, about the consultation that's happening across our district. And my commitment is to elevate those questions to the Chancellor during Chancellor meetings. We have another meeting with our first Deputy Chancellor next week, and ready access with our Executive Superintendent. I am pressing that issue. I'm elevating the rest of our district and making sure that Central at the executive level knows that they must attend to our requests with regard to inclusion in these kinds of conversations. I commend the CEC and our President BJ on just taking the step he is taking tonight to poll our entire district and get that information, because that looks, I promise you, like that is a united front. And so when you're talking about policy changes, you know, the vote and decisions go where there is a united and sort of I don't want to use words like union. There is a organized approach to getting all opinions at the table. And so when they see that our CEC is taking the initiative to have the conversation in this global way and get everyone's input, that I think is more meaningful than any one of us expressing our sentiment or feeling about these decisions that are being made. We want to be a part of them. We we deserve to be a part of them. And I commit to doing what I can do with this authority that you all have given me to press that issue with Central and our executive leadership. I also want to share something that occurred. You know, we are in the middle of a really difficult time, right? Not just a pandemic, right? A health pandemic, but we're also in a time where our country is experiencing an unrest and disruption like we haven't seen in many, you know, in 4 or 5 decades. So we find ourselves having to ask and answer really difficult questions. And you all know, and I hope you're comfortable, because I sure am. I'm now at an age I don't have to apologize so much for how I call for myself. You know that I'm very vocal about, I racialize myself when I speak about myself. I am a Black woman. In fact, I am a Black woman, right? And I want the acceptance of that, and I promise the same acceptance for every single person. And so I asked our principals to just engage in courageous conversations. And I'm not asking anyone to go out on a corner or demonstrate or do any of that. I would never ask that of you. But what I am saying to you is that those that we hold close, let's help them try to understand what is happening. Let's just try to help them understand and say that when any segment of our community is not heard and the response is not appropriate, then that will create this kind of energy. And it's ironic because I think about enrollment in that way. Decisions that are being made about and for without our input, right? And so we're going to keep that from happening. So there's a lot of things, you know, there's a lot of issues that we are grappling with as a society that is also mirrored in our District 28 society. And I want it to be real clear in terms of where we stand in a time like this. And that is that we have to care for, support, and protect our community. Right? And that extends out. So if everyone takes that cry, then we'll be mindful of what happens even externally, because we're monitoring what happens internally so closely. It is our goal. It is to me, it's a calling that we create brother and sisterhood across this entire district. We can't exist any other way. I don't want to exist any other way. I want us to love each other. I want us to support and protect each other. And that's every facet, beginning with our children. And so I just want to say thank you, Vijay, for taking the time today to engage in the conversation that you're about to engage in, because it is not separate and apart from this larger context that our country is engaged in right now. Something not great happens when voices feel unheard. And so I thank you for taking the opportunity for all of us to be heard. I thank you all for hearing me. You could have just muted me out. But thankfully you said, you know what, this is someone that perhaps we want to hear something from. And so I just want to show gratitude. You know that is my mantra. I want to stick to it because I think that makes me a better human being, gratitude. And so take the time to just talk to each other about this context, this global context. Take the time to offer just a bit of care and ask someone if they are okay, because what we are watching and what we're seeing is incredibly, it's difficult. It's difficult for adults, so it's difficult for our children. So let's practice with each other what it looks like and sounds like to show support, and then let's do that for our children as well. Let them see us do that for each other. And in this way, we are all doing the best work. And I guess that's it. I can ramble on. I can continue talking about this. I'm very passionate about, you know, our call to humanity, to each other. And so thank you for the moment to speak with you. And that's all I have to say for now. If you want me to speak more, I'm happy to do that. As you all know, I can be a little long-winded, so I'm gonna stop talking.
Thank you so much.
Have a great night.
And thank you for really being at the helm to really hold this district down in some way, right? To really be there to bring it back to us. And you've always brought us back accurate and pertinent information in a timely manner. We value your collaboration. Thank you so much. I will just ask Sonia Rueda if there's anything that she needs to add, please.
Good evening, everyone. No, I think I want to echo our superintendent's words in terms of the pride that I always have, and I've said this to you in different venues, of the work that we do, the collaboration, the partnership. Learning devices has been no easy task. It's been a feat in and of itself, but know that we're moving along. I want you to know as a community is that every school does have a point person for the learning devices, and that I'm connecting with them and we're escalating your concerns. One key thing, and just so that you can support your community and your parents, is that it is key how they fill out their forms, how they fill out their tickets, how they fill out their technical requests, because unfortunately, any little mistake that they make will backlog and will delay the ability for your children to have devices. So I'm always here. I'm committed to supporting our parents in the social emotional component of the work that we do. I always make myself available. So thank you again, and I look forward to the continued collaboration.
Sonia, what is your title again, please?
I don't know, no, I'm only kidding. It's Family Leadership Coordinator, but it's changed throughout the years, but I continue doing the same work, and it may change next week, but I'm committed to what I do always. Thank you.
And I want to say why I asked you that question is because on paper, that's what you were called, but you have been more than that for our entire district. And we are so grateful to have you. Do not ever leave our district, please. All right. You have been more than just that title across and you serve with passion, and that is something that we can't teach, but you have to come with, and we acknowledge that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have Paula DeClark from FACE, our next amazing individual from our team, who is from the FACE department of the DOE, who has been a stellar leader when it comes to COVID-19 and bringing us information and being tirelessly working with our team and across the district, various teams, to always keep us updated. And at this time, I'll ask her to say a few words. Paula?
Good evening. I have one announcement. And that is that actually this is something that came out of CEC28. One member observed that the event, last week's event, last week, it seems like a long time ago by now, but anyway, the admissions policy event in Queens was on a Jewish holiday, and I was able to take it back. And there will be another event. It will be Monday, June 8th, 6 to 10 p.m. So it's longer. It will be a citywide event. This is sort of a general makeup. I believe, I haven't looked yet at the rules, but they will come out. I believe that this is not for people who have already spoken to get a second bite at the apple. It's really for, essentially to get more opportunities for input. You'll see that, and also at that event, interpretation will be available in Cantonese, Mandarin, and Spanish. So again, also reminding you that there is an email address to send in comments and concerns. Those are actually looked at. It's not just some box that, it's not the circular bin. So please, continue with your comments and suggestions and questions. The second announcement I have is for PA-PTAs. I think I saw President's Council on here, and we have worked with CPAC to finalize the guidance. It's a guidance that's really about what we can do, what PA-PTAs can do to continue their business as much as possible in the remote environment. So I won't say too much about it, but it has three components. One is detailed guidance on how to conduct a virtual meeting, things that may not be obvious to everyone. As Vijay and Crystal know, we practice a lot to actually have a seamless virtual meeting. So this does not come naturally. And the second part refines already issued guidance with respect to elections. You have to read it very carefully. It doesn't say you cannot have elections. It doesn't say you must have elections. Please read it very carefully. And then the third part is financial. I know a lot of PA-PTAs, especially in Queens, were waiting for Well, what do? We have an invoice from a vendor and no checkbook. How do we, pay in compliance with a 660? Which we know is a little bit stuck in, the mid 20th century as far as financial procedures. And then the other part is, how do we refund parents who have paid for things that they didn't get, such as, graduation fees in connection with graduation events, etc. And the third part is fundraising. We know that PTAs want to do fundraising. It's difficult to do without a checkbook or without access to the account, but that is addressed as well. So we try to really cover basically all kinds of PTAs. There will be training on that as well, and CPAC has been a wonderful, wonderful partner on that. But that will be coming out today, tomorrow. It's final, but it's just a matter of getting it rolled out. So those are all my announcements. I really want to thank CEC28 for being absolutely best CEC ever.
Paula, we couldn't have been half the best without your guidance and your leadership and your support. But I echo what you say too. We have a great team of council members who we put our ideas together, and then we choose the best one that works best for the entire district. And thank you for your seamless work. As many of you know, we did not have an AA for the most part of this past school year, and Paula filled in for us in so many capacities, another person who wears so many different hats. And we thank you. We thank you wholeheartedly. So at this point, I'm going to go through the list of our CEC members and ask you if you have any reports, and we'll ask you to just give your report quickly. Barbara Williams. Unmute yourself, Barbara.
Sorry. I don't have any report, but I just want to say good evening to everyone. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate you, and we're glad to see everybody.
Thank you so much. Next person we have is Robert Tamayev.
I have nothing to report. I just want to say that some parents have been asking if we're going to be having meetings in the summer. I think we will, but just want to let everyone know that we will be discussing as a group after this, and we'll let you guys all know.
So happy to have you on, Dr. Tamayev, and we want to thank you for your hard work that you've been doing through COVID-19 and being on the front lines. He's one of our first responders, and
thank you.
As a medical doctor, we appreciate your service, and we thank you for being here with us always. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Elena Amanova.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to let you guys know that I think with Crystal joining us as our AA, she did reach out to, I believe, the principals and the school parent coordinators with the contacts for the CEC members. So I know that some of us have already gotten to touch base with the schools, and were invited to some of the final of the year PA SLT meetings. So you might see some of us drop in, and if not, if any of you would like your CEC representative to join any of your meetings, please let your school officials know. So we appreciate, Crystal, your hard work in doing that outreach for us. And hope everyone stays safe and well. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena. And Andy Matus King, I'm calling you again if you're on the call. Andy Matus King. Andy Matus King. Okay. Erica Cooper.
Yes, coming. Hold on. Hello.
Hearing you.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to say it's great to see so many parents coming out, especially for this meeting that's so important. And as Dr. Pate has said, that, we need to all come together. And I just wanted to let the parents know that if they could also comment in the area if they did not receive the survey, just because I know I had some parents that reached out to me saying that they did not receive the survey. So we do want to know how you feel about this. So please just let us know so we can also rectify or see why that information wasn't received to you. And we can make sure that we look into that. So again, if you could just let us know if you did not receive that survey. And thank you.
Thank you, Erica. And also let us know if you did not receive that survey, let us know which school you are from, because we rely on a middle person, the school parents, teachers, parents, coordinators, and the principals, to as a middle person from us to them, to all the parents in the schools. So if you did not receive a survey from Class Dojo, please write in the comment section. Erica, do you mind keeping tab on that in the chat box about those schools who did not receive any kind of communication about the survey? And then we can reach out to the principals and the parent coordinators directly and find out why or what happened. But also, parents who did not receive the survey, today's a chance that you can put your name to speak. Just type the word speak and your name, and we'll add your name on the list so you have a chance to speak also. Thank you, Erica, for bringing that up. Ted Chang.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to speak about the survey. I've been hearing a lot of feedback from the district, and I'm just going to sort of recommend what we can do to correct some of the, it appears that there are some things that could be corrected and it could help us hear the voices of the parents in the district. The effort was very well intentioned. It was a great idea to get some input from the district, but there are just some things that sort of we missed the ball a little bit. Our parents have different ideas on screens. Some want traditional screens. Some are against racial segregation, and so they don't want any screens at all. And I've heard a lot of parents say that they're in the middle somewhere. They want some sort of a compromise. So, the way the wording of the survey was written, there were really only options for traditional screens. The sort of non-screening option was called none of the above, which is really just hard for anyone to understand. And then I think for compromise ideas, somewhere in the middle, there just was no option to do that. So I feel like we're not really hearing all the voices of the parents by sort of giving those as the only options. In a way, if you really think about it, the survey that we sent out was a bit superficial. It really tells us nothing about our community's deeper values and preferences. So I think we can continue this conversation after this meeting. I don't think we have to, the conversation has to end. I think we should really try to put this to our parents as a deeper question. And I think we could say to them like this, schools are not required to reflect the city of New York. They cherry pick their students, even though they're public schools. And we have more screening in New York City than any other school district in the nation. We also have the most segregated school district in the nation. But those are sort of long-term problems. And so why is this a problem in this particular year? Why are we talking about it in this particular year? Screens for next year could have a uniquely unfair impact on students who are already significantly underrepresented in screens. So some kids finally do well towards the end of the year and might not be able to get past the screen without their final marking period. So whatever changes go through, those changes could benefit some students unfairly while the impacted students are already underrepresented. So that's kind of that's the dilemma. Now, of course we all have different points of views, but that's the dilemma. So what I would suggest is we need a follow-up conversation on our deeper community values. Let's just openly ask people what, if anything, they want to do about the unfair impact on underrepresented students if we kind of continue along, using traditional methods. And I think in light of the protests around the country, let's ask if people want to make a concrete contribution to making Black Lives Matter. Give people an open space to volunteer all on their own, something that they're willing to do. And our children, they're going to ask us, what did you do in 2020 in response to the George Floyd protests and COVID-19? So let's just ask our parents to reflect and then contribute to a solution. It doesn't need to be a north-south divide. It doesn't need to be a divisive issue. Let's all come together as a district and come up with solutions for this issue. And I think we can really find solidarity with each other in these times of crisis, even if, it doesn't always seem apparent. But we just have to explain that there truly are no easy answers for next year, because the COVID epidemic just happened and nobody planned for it. So there's no easy answers. But I think if we explain it and we tell the truth, and we present the sort of deep moral question that it represents as well, I think we may be a bit surprised that people are more understanding than we expect. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. And in all fairness to all our fellow CEC members, you were given a chance to give input to the survey, and you didn't respond to our emails to add any questions or comments to the survey. So it had to go out the way it was to receive public comment, but we can have
BJ, I gave all this feedback before, and it was not, no one responded to me.
Okay, thank you, Ted. And Morrison.
Thank you. I'm sort of losing you in and out. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
So, great. Thanks all. I just wanted to briefly report on the CEC Safety Committee in February in order to address concerns from the community about bullying, school violence, racist and anti-Semitic incidents, and broader concerns about school shootings. The CEC formed a safety committee of myself, VJ, Barbara Williams, and Erica Cooper. Then the pandemic hit the next month, and we all know what happened then. The biggest question now, and all those issues we will be looking at, and we have started to look at, but the biggest issue that we have been hearing from the community is, will it be safe to go back to school in September? So that's our real biggest school safety issue now. And we are going to be addressing that and surveying the community and looking around and keeping an eye on that and trying to provide answers to you in the weeks and months ahead. If you have concerns about school safety, whether it is, will you go back to school in September, or incidents of bullying or violence, you can write the CEC, and I'll put these in the chat box, but you can write us at info@cecd28.org. That again is info@cecd28.org. Or you can write me directly at my CEC address, which is Micah, M-I-C-A-H, CEC28@gmail.com. Again, Micah, CEC28@gmail.com. We're going to be addressing all your school safety issues, as I said, in the weeks and months ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Micah. There's not enough time to discuss safety, right? Safety is always important. Thank you so much for the incredible work you're doing on the CEC. Next person we have is Howard Pollard.
Thank you, VJ. I'd like to lend my voice to that of Dr. Pates. Her message of love, support, and unity is powerful. And Dr. Pate, thank you very much. It's needed, it's time. It should have been time a long time ago. Thank you. My report concerns the diversity project that D28 was supposedly undergoing, but obviously the pandemic interrupted. As of this date, Dewey was interested in continuing the process with WXY under the same contract. That being said, I've had a conversation with WXY a week ago, and I was told the following. They're not sure what the process will look like, what the process will be when it does restart, or if it does restart. DOE, according to the information VJ and I have, wants it to restart, but WXY is not on the same page as DOE. DOE and WXY have not hooked up in a substantial way to discuss this. WXY hopes that it will be doing so in the future. And all I could say is I hope at some point in time they'll get their act together. I know the pandemic is here. It's clouding everything. But as far as we know, the process is halted until DOE decides to speak to WXY, inform them under what contract they want them to operate under, and then WXY will then begin the process again. Thank you, VJ.
Thank you, Howard, and thank you for bringing the report back to us. And your CEC members, myself and Howard and Barbara, we will continue to take your requests, your comments, and bring it back to DOE and to WXY. We are also pushing forward to make sure that they let us know if there's going to be a recontracting, a new contract, that we should be aware of this from the very beginning. And also, how can the community be engaged in that process also for the benefit of the entire district? Yeah. The next person
DJ, I've also asked WXY independently to let us know as well.
Perfect. Perfect. You're on it. Thank you, Howard. Thank you so much. So that brings us to our council member reports. And at this time, I'll do my report. So I will share my screen at this point. And let's do this way. So again, this is a Community Education Council District 28. And, you know, this is our members here, your vice president, your first vice president, second vice president at the bottom here. And we are happy to represent you, our parents of our district. So what a year it has been, right? A year for 2019-2020. First, we will talk about a little bit of statistics today. Then we'll talk about the diversity plan. We had a new superintendent. We had COVID-19 this year. We had a grading policy change without any consultation to us. We had summer school and a big debate about that and what it looks like. And ultimately where we are right now is about the admission policy for our middle schools and high schoolers. The numbers. So there's a total number, make it smaller here in my screen. There's a total number of students in elementary schools in D28 is 17,442. Total number of students in middle schools is 8,331. Total number of principals pre-K to 8 is 35. And the total number of teachers in our district is 1,784. The diversity plan. It came at our doors knocking, and many of us didn't realize that this was something that was coming, but it came, and to the surprise of many of our our CEC members, we ourselves didn't realize what we had before us. But what we made sure was that we're going to have this discussion with our community. WXY was contracted to investigate and put forth proposals to diversify D28 middle schools. And that brought on a lot of public engagement in many ways, which we encouraged, and we are happy that we had. CEC28 pushed back and said parents' voices must be heard. When we were told to have questions be written on our cards and we can screen those questions and then ask questions, we said no. We want the DOE and WXY to feel the emotions, the real feelings of our parents across the district. This engagement and this very show of our feelings, it actually changed the whole plan, right? It changed how public engagement was going to happen. And it just goes to show you how when we as a community unite and we don't have to all agree, right? We have to agree to disagree. But when we come together and put forth our answers, our comments, our questions, our concerns, they will listen, but we have to do so forcefully, respectfully. And that gets heard all the time. One thing that we did as a CEC for the first time ever in the history of D28 was the CEC made a decision to move our meetings, monthly meetings, throughout the district. And for the first time, the CEC held its monthly calendar meeting in schools all the way in the deep south of our district and all the way across our district. And we realized that having a disability ramp, wheelchair ramp access in some schools is a problem because we couldn't have our meetings in some of those schools because they didn't have that. But our attempt was to bring the meetings to your schools, to your community, so and we can reach you where you are. Parents' voices matter. We had a new superintendent. We welcomed our new district superintendent, Dr. Tammy Pate, who has been a gem, a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful person from the very get-go. And I had the pleasure of meeting her with Dr. Andrew Spencer and some other leaders in our district to interview her as part of this plan. And Dr. Pate, when I asked her very direct questions, I asked her, and she said, and she promised that as a leader to be a leader for all parents and to lead with inclusion for a very diverse district. And she believes in school-wide support and intervention tools, in research-based methodologies, in professional development and coaching, in powerful instruction for all students, and leadership for continuous improvement. And she brings all of that with her to D28. COVID-19. Who knew when, how? No one knew, right? It came. It's here. The largest school district in our nation closes on March 15, 2020. Remote learning became the reality for our students, and to them, it was a big surprise too, right? Remote devices, over 300,000 given out already, and more are being applied to. And we should know that those devices, when we talk about equity and we talk about equality and access to resources, this came very quickly, this part of our plan, because now all of those devices that was given out to our students in our district, across the district, whenever we return back to school or however we return back to school, all those devices will be given back to the school's stockpile of equipment. So now our schools have a good stockpile of laptops and iPads, etc. Food justice, right? Our district made sure to make sure our students had meals to eat. So many loss of life, and we saw that across our district. Some of the hardest hit areas in Queens was South Jamaica, Queens. And parents became teachers and educators, and we were not ready for that, but we had to take the responsibility, and we understood. And many of our parents across the meetings, an outpouring of thank you to our teachers was happening, because parents realized, wow, what a task our teachers take on with our children. And so many of us were saying thank you to our teachers. The grading policy change for 2019-2020, grade scale of 5 meets standards on these improvement was a new standard that all students will get now. And I want to make sure everyone knows and we acknowledge that this policy that came about was not a public engagement policy. It was not engaging with D28. No one sought D28's opinions on the grading policy. It was something that was shoved to us and we had to accept it. And I'm saying to you, we don't have to accept it. We have to start writing letters and making statements about these policies. Grades 6 to 8 meet standards, these improvements, or they'll get a grade of course in progress. And grades 9 to 12, school will continue grading scale they had before remote learning, with the addition of course in progress, where kids and students will get a chance to continue mastering the course level that they're at. Course in progress, as the DOE puts it, is meant to help students who can't submit work or demonstrate mastery of failing grades to be considered a course in progress, to give them a chance to catch up, yeah? And the remote summer learning. Grades 3 to 8, students who are required or recommended to attend summer school. That will start on Monday, July 6th, and on Tuesday, August 11th. I will ask Faisal, can you please mute your microphone again, or we'll kick you out of the meeting. Thank you, sir. Grades 9 to 12, Monday, July 6th to Friday, August 14th is when that summer school will take place. And again, you can either be told that you have to go to summer school, or you can be recommended to go to summer school. And for students with a 12-month individual IEP plan services, there will be no change to the calendar. And your school starts at, your summer program is from July 12th to Thursday, August 13th. And notifications will be sent out in June 2020. The admission policy for school year 21-22. The DOE has and is continuing to engage with parents, school leaders, students, and to collect ideas and perspectives on admissions for fall 2021 throughout the borough. CEC28 will be taking parents' feedback tonight, right now, today, in our meeting today, to prepare a letter that we will send on behalf of our district to the DOE, so they can consider our opinions as a district when making these decisions. Citywide town hall on admissions will take place this Monday coming, June 8th, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And again, I want to point out this was Howard's doing when we were told that we were going to have the Queen's public engagement last week, Thursday. Howard pointed out really quickly that that's falling on a Jewish holiday. And there will be many parents who will not be able to attend that meeting. And As you can see, our voices matter. Now there's a second engagement. So I encourage all of you to get your voices heard, sign up to speak, go to the face link and put your names down to speak. But what are screen schools, right? We're having this discussion about screen schools and what does that mean? And in most cases, we should know that there are more families applying than there are seats available at some schools. And in order to determine which students get an offer to that school, some schools use a screened admissions method. These schools look at a student's academic record and or other information about a child to give the student a rank. In general, students are admitted to these schools in rank order, which means that the highest ranked student gets an offer first, followed by the second ranked student and so on. And ultimately, some students will not get into that school that they applied for. There are approximately 400 schools, and 30% of them or so screen for portions of their seat, and 18% of them screen for all of their seats. And there are approximately 500 middle schools in the city. 41% of them screens for portion of their seats, and 23% of them screens for all of their seats. And what does COVID-19 have to do with admissions? Due to COVID-19, the primary academic information that schools use to rank students is unavailable. And those things are attendance, state exams, and final grades. So the state suspended all elementary and intermediate level state testing for the remainder of the school year. And then DOE suspended the use of attendance for academic school year 2020 to 2021 admission cycle, and grading policies have been adapted, and elementary middle school students are no longer graded on the same scale as they previously were. So what did we do? So D28, our council, and we decided to have a survey. This survey is meant to get the opinions, the ideas from our parents. Now, we could have had that survey done today, or we could have had people tell us what they felt via email. But what about those parents who don't or can't do that? One sure way that we thought about was to do this via Class Dojo, to send this survey out in a very simple 5 to 6 questions form to just get a consensus of what people feel, what parents feel in our district about screens. And this will help the CEC council members to make an informed decision about what the letter contains to DOE. You will notice on this form here, there is not an open-ended question where you can write a comment or explain what you feel, because we cannot quantify that answer. We can't come back, and we don't have someone in our office sitting down to read all those comments, and also how can we quantify what you're saying. So we said we're gonna leave today's meeting. We'll have today's meeting as a space where we'll have live public comments. We'll have the survey here. And today also we'll be doing a live polling. After all the public comments, we'll have a polling that will happen live on the screen here. We'll put up a poll, and all who's on the call today, they can also get a chance to add to the polling. CEC28 screen school admissions policy went out on 6/2, and we pulled it down on 6/4/2020. Total responses we got from the survey was 1,674. And I want to say thank you to all of you who have responded to the survey. Are you a parent of a student in District 28? Of course, there are people who are not parents of our students in District 28 who have responded, but 97.3% of them did and are parents of students in our district. This is a picture of the schools that participated. 27 different schools were represented in the survey across the district. As you can see, there are schools from all parts of the district, not every school, and we are curious to know how come some schools were not represented, and we can definitely figure out why that happened, why that did not happen, because the survey link was sent to all the parent coordinators and the principals. What grades is your child in? If you have more than one child, click all that apply, and you can see here of the 1,674 responses, this is how the breakdown was of parents who responded, which grades their children were in. I'll just give everyone a little 2 seconds to look at that. As you can see, we had pre-K all the way to 8th grade, with a lot of parents responding from 4th and 5th grade, from the kindergarten grade. And we're happy to have a very good wide representation across the board. And then should grades up to March 15, 2020 be used to determine eligibility for screen schools? 79.2% of our families, parents who responded said yes, and 20.8% said no. Should attendance up to March 15, 2020 be used to determine eligibility for screen schools? Again, 75% of you said yes, and 24.1% said no. What metric should be used for middle school admissions in the 2021-2022 school year? And for attendance, we had here, as you can see, 69.7% of them said all of the above, which includes grades and attendance. And the breakdown of the others are here also. What metric should be used for high school admissions in the 21-22 school year? As you know, we do not represent high schools, but we have parents in our district who have children also in middle school and in high school and elementary school. So we just gave them a shot to see what their thoughts were. And again, 70.4% think that all of the above, which is attendance and grades, should be used to be considered. The future. Families First, Coronavirus Response Act, New York City public school families will receive $420 per child if qualified, and will be issued this in June 2020. If you have an EBT card, they will add that money directly to your card. If you want to be qualified for this, you can definitely go to the DOE website and see if you qualify based on financial need. The diversity plan, currently there's no meetings, there's no public engagement. The working group has not met in at least a month and a half or two. And there's no public engagement until further notice. Our new superintendent will continue to work tirelessly for all children in District 28 and be a partner and a solution finder to problems in our district. COVID-19 fall 2020, what does school look like, right? Who knows? Well, vaccinations, we don't know where we are. And this is one of the worrying things about all of us, right? Where are we with this COVID-19 2020? But we should continue to have conversations about what this looks like for our district, what communities are affected most and impacted the most, and continue to make sure that every voice is heard. Remote summer learning, again, I've been pushing very hard for live instruction. I remember Ted Chang had told us at his kids' school, MS217, they are doing live instruction. And if one school can do it in our district, I'm sure there could be a model for other schools in our district to encourage other schools to start doing live instruction. And I want to acknowledge here and echo that I understand that many of our teachers are also parents and they're also homeschooling. But we're not asking for every day or 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. of live instruction. What we are asking for is some level of daily interaction or some 1 or 2 hours of live instruction, and then the children can go ahead and after that, they can do their work on their own. But we know that teachers are receiving their full salaries still. And we want to acknowledge that we also feel the need that our children's education is important. And we should start at least having a conversation of what live instruction looks like. And if the summertime is the time to look at that, we should. So come September, if we do not have a plan to go back to school and live, then we should have a plan in place to have live instruction. And the admission policy. Every grade matters. Students should be encouraged to give their best always and excel on every level. They should know that their efforts mattered. And CEC28 parents' voice is crucial. Please continue to get involved. And this picture here kind of tells you, all of our kids were just babies, right? And if you can see a little world in the center here. And the decisions that we make today and the conversations that we have today will affect generations to come. And it's a platform for us to bounce off on for future generations. Like I think Ted mentioned before, when we look back at the year 2020 and we think about admissions policy and grading policy and education, when our kids would have gotten older, what did we do? How did we get involved? And how did we impact those decisions? Please think about that. Thank you. Education is the foundation upon which we build our future. And this is by Christine Grigori. And thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being your president so far for this school year. And I look forward to continue to serving you in the best way I can with our wonderful CEC council members. And I want to tell all of you that today we are having this conversation about admission policies. Please be respectful. Respect your fellow district members. There are students on this call also. And we are watching, we are learning too about who our community members are. So please respect our timing. And before we take our first comment, I will call on, we have our district leader of Assembly District 31. His name is Richard David. We're gonna ask him to say a few words. Richard?
Hi, everyone. Good night. You know, these are, I don't need to tell the parents and the council members on this call how extraordinary these times really are. We didn't even get over the health pandemic, and it feels like jumping from the fire pan and into the fire because of the police brutality and just endless violence that's plagued Black and especially Black, but also brown communities throughout the country. I think that that's so important to center in these conversations. I'm happy to be your district leader. I'm new to this role. I'm looking forward to working with, and congratulations, Vijay, and to all of the council members. I'm looking forward to working with you and really to listen, because I think I have a lot to learn, and you will find an ally and a partner in working with me. And I look forward to continuing to hear from all of our parents in the district. I will put my contact information in the chat box. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to the following conversation about school admission policy as well.
Thank you, Richard, for being here, and thank you for always doing a wonderful job for District 31 and New York in general. Thank you so much. Do visit us again. So now we're going to move to our public comment section. So it's now 7:39, and we'll time ourselves. We'll give each speaker. So we have 23 speakers. So we'll start with as I call your name, please unmute yourself, and we'll give you 90 seconds to speak. So Howard, do you mind helping me out with the timing? And you can unmute yourself, and then we can definitely do that as we go through it. Thank you so much. So the first person I will call on is Melissa M.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So thank you so much, Vijay and the entire CEC for all your advocacy and outreach. Thank you to the superintendent and her team for their tireless work for all the students in District 28. Regarding admissions for 21-22,
can you speak up a little bit, please?
Yes, I can, sorry.
Thank you.
Regarding admission for 21-22 school year, my request is that we consider eliminating all screens under these extraordinary circumstances. And I say that as a parent of 2 children and also as a special educator. 3rd grade test scores were a lifetime ago in the life of a child that young. And given the fact that 3rd grade is the very first time most students with disabilities have ever used their testing accommodations on a state test, the conditions of state tests are so different from classroom tests. And so given the circumstances, it makes sense, I think, any reasons for attendance also. It's such a long time ago in the life of a child. An alternative, I think, that would make sense would be to consider universal screening assessments. Universal screening assessments, educators will be familiar with these. It's different from state tests. They take minutes, not hours. And that information could be administered in the fall, would be the most current and accurate snapshot of students' skills. And then I would suggest that schools consider an ed-opt model, similar to what's used in ed-opt admissions high schools, if they want to find a bell curve distribution.
Thank you, Melissa. Next we're going to have is Irene Ravsky.
Okay, good evening. I speak here on behalf of myself and also a parent organization in Queens called Queens Parents United. We have over 800 members. We had a very productive meeting today with Deputy Chancellor Wallach of the DOE, in which we presented the views of our parent group and specifically what we proposed for the 3 screening criteria that is being discussed right now, which is attendance, state scores, and grades, the following. The attendance is the easiest aspect. You have attendance up until February 1st before any sign of the virus existed, and there's no reason why that cannot be used. For state scores, the latest one we have is 3rd grade, and while I do realize that Kids were not as experienced test takers back then as they would be in 4th grade. However, that is the latest one we have available, and unless the DOE can administer the test in the fall, which it seems to be logistically very difficult, that seems to be the best option. The grading is the most difficult one of all, because the latest one we have is the March grades, which is the last marking period. And we had a split in terms of what our recommendations were. We first recommended that the DOE actually issue grades, and then those who did not get grades that were high enough, in their opinion, they could do better, they could improve them through summer school. However, it seems like the DOE is not taking up that offer, so the fallback position is to use March grades, and that is the latest data we have available. And so that was our recommendation. Another thing that came out of that meeting, another clarification that came out of that meeting is that these criteria that the DOE is seeking is not only for academically screened schools such as Townsend Harris, it is also for talent screened schools like LaGuardia and Frank Sinatra, as long as these schools have an academic aspect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next we have is Limor Nesher. So well, guys, when folks, when we reach approximately halfway down this list, we'll do the polling that we have today to do live polling. We have 124 people here in our meeting. Halfway down the list, let's see this, we have 23, so like around 11 after Jeffrey Herskowitz, we'll do the polling and we'll put it up on the screen, and then everyone on the call will get a chance to be a part of that polling. So continue, please, Limor.
Hi, and thank you everyone, and great job, and thanks for all the year and what you've done. I have a suggestion. Of course, I agree with the poll like everyone else, but I think they should use the grading until March. However, I really hope and recommend that they don't, whatever policy that they will come up in terms of grading shouldn't last a year. As I heard at the town hall for Queens, they do propose it to last for a year. That will not only harm the kids for this year, also next year. So the kids that today at 6th grade, next year will not have grades, they will not have state exams, and will also be in the same position as the children that are now facing next year, hopefully way after the pandemic ends. Secondly, I think for admission policies, they should use the previous year state exams and not eliminate screens by no means. Lastly, for IEP students that benefited from remote learning, I think we should take some, the good things out of the bad situation and preserve them for regular school year. So children with learning disabilities, IEPs, would have a chance to enjoy from different learning environments and school inside the schools, and maybe we can utilize some of those practices that some kids do benefit from remote learning, and I think they should continue doing that if they can.
Thank you. Next we have Ari Feldman.
Hi.
What's the baby's name, Ari?
This is Jane.
Hi. Oh, very nice. Welcome. Go for it.
Sorry, my wife came in to grab the baby, but I'm fine.
You want the baby? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, she's ready to speak. So actually, I wanted to echo. First, I wanted to say thank you to the job that you've done, to the job of the CEC. I know that it's a lot of work and it's all volunteer, and so it's really we really appreciate it. Also, appreciation to Dr. Pate, and I really want to say thank you, Dr. Pate, for pointing out that this conversation that we're having right now is directly linked to the the Black Lives Matter movement, the racial issues that we're having in our country. And I think that being said, screens are problematic already, especially thinking through things like attendance screens when children, if we're going to use a child's 4th grade attendance, seems like it doesn't really match up with what a student's ability is. It's really just what a parent's access is to transportation, their ability to get their children to school. I also want to point out that as somebody who has taught, interim grades are not particularly representative of final grades.
Wrap it up,
varies so much teacher by teacher. So I think it's a really problematic thing to try to use either attendance or interim grades.
Thank you so much. And hi, baby, again. Bring the baby every time. Jean H. There you are. Go right, Jean.
Hi, hi, BJ, CEC members. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the effort that you guys took with the survey. I would say that it was a little bit disappointing not to see that state tests were addressed at all. I think it may have just been an oversight, but great effort. It's more than what I feel like our DOE has done, and it feels like you guys really are trying to listen to what we have to say. So thank you for that, and I appreciate it. I'm also part of Queens Parents United. We conducted a survey, and we got back 107 responses on our survey. Out of the 107, we tossed off 8 because it was obvious they were not from Queens. They represented zip codes from, I would say, 4 different districts: District 25, District 26, District 30, and also our own District 28. And from those, our statistics seem to match with what you came back with, and that would be grading through March. I would agree with what Irene had to say, that we would recommend that summer school not be an opportunity where, it should be an opportunity where the DOE picks up the ball again and actually educating our children, knowing the improvements that they could do on remote learning, and try to give all children a final grade at the end of the school year, because as the last speaker had just said, grading mid-year is not necessarily consistent. Some teachers get the best grade until the very end. State test scores used last year's is imperfect, but it's at least a metric, and all children who are coming from the same playing field. And the last point is there's an election on June 23rd. We have 2 open CEC council member seats. Parents, please remember to vote. Whoever wins that election will be the Queens Borough president. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Next we have is Heather Beres Dimitriadis.
That was excellent pronunciation, BJ, and thank you.
My best.
And thank you so much for that presentation tonight. It was very thorough. I very much appreciated it. My only input at this point about the process would be that we be, as a district, really cognizant of how we roll out communications. We seem to be in this cyclical cycle. That's kind of redundant, but we seem to be in this repetitive cycle of saying, well, we send things out and then things just kind of drop off in local schools. For example, I was at the Community Board 12 Education Committee meeting in January. There were parents in that room that had just within 15 days of that meeting had just heard about the diversity plan. Now that was different than my experience, because my experience was I was talking about it with people over the summer. For 6, 7, 8 months before this neighborhood knew about it. And I think that it would be in our best interest, because this is always the challenge, right? We put together and we craft this great, wonderful communication. We send it out to the schools, and our thinking is that it's going to get sent out. And somehow I think we have to start trying to problem solve this in a way that is going to actually ensure that this information is getting out, whether it be sending things out with a communication plan saying, this is the date of the meeting. We'd like this sent out to parents 7 days prior, and then if you could redistribute 2 days prior. And then doing some kind of check-in with those local schools to say, was this sent out? Or check in with key parent leaders. Did you receive? And I know it's a challenge, but that's where this fell short the last time. And this is where we fell short with the D28 process at the fall. So thank you for your time. Thank you, Howard, as well.
Thank you, Heather. And I promise you that I'll work with Dr. Pate and our council will work with Dr. Pate to make sure that we get a better system. This is the first time ever that we ever had any kind of public engagement like this. And it's not perfect. I want to make sure that's very clear. We were not aiming for perfection. We were aiming to start something and then build with your feedback. And we will always leave room to make mistakes, but also to learn and to build. And we have received so many feedback from parents about, hey, this was not sent out with various languages. I called our AA and we got it, have the part on there to make it with various languages. So thank you for your feedback. Continue to give us feedback and we will do better. Naya B.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. All right, thank you for holding this space, first of all. Today I come to you as a resident of District 28, an advocate and ally to parents I've worked with in this district. I propose the end of use of all middle school screens immediately. I believe excluding students as young as 9 years old from educational opportunities seems fundamentally inappropriate. At the high school level, I believe we must end the use of discriminatory admissions methods in favor of new inclusionary practices. Data shows current screens disproportionately exclude our city's most high-need students, such as English language learners, those eligible for free and reduced price lunch, and students with disabilities. I also believe we need to standardize the admission of high school admissions immediately to ensure that this process is no longer taking place in black boxes with little to zero transparency toward applicants. I'm not advocating for policy that takes away or punishes students for their hard work. The fact is, there are plenty of students who work just as hard that do not get into screen schools. It is also a fact that these students who work just as hard but are excluded from these schools are often from our most marginalized communities, the same communities that are being most impacted by COVID-19, and most likely the same communities that have recently taken to the streets because folks are tired of systems telling them that they do not matter. I believe New York City has an opportunity to create an inclusive school culture. I know research has spoken on who and what these screens sustain and serve. I understand facing these facts can be incredibly uncomfortable because it feels like something is being taken away. I ask folks to sit in this discomfort, see the facts, read the research, and then maybe recognize that there is an inclusive path forward for all students, and sustaining screens might not be it. Thank you.
Thank you, Naya. We have Venus Ketchum.
Yay, so exciting. Can you hear me?
Yes, Venus.
Oh my God, I haven't spoken in a while. I'm getting so inspired by all these people sharing. Hi, I'm Venus Ketchum, parent and community leader in Queens, throughout Queens, all school districts. My comment about screen schools, having gone through the New York City public school system myself, and my son now graduating from 8th grade and going into high school 9th grade. I don't really know if it's reality that screens will be thrown away, but I love the idea of piggybacking off of the new normal. So we are never going to go back to New York City public schools as it has been. So I am all for uprooting the current ways screens are applied and creating access for all students. Specifically, again, my commitment is to the south side of School District 28 and to prevent further segregation that continues to happen because of screen schools. So the reality is, who's going to be locked out of the screen schools are Black children. Black and brown children are not going to have the test scores or the attendance or the performance criteria to get into those schools, which is going to deepen segregation in our district. I have come to this new thought that the affluent use public school as a private school experience for free. And, you know, I don't have to be politically correct, so I can say whatever I want. So they're getting the quality of a private school for public school, which they're entitled to. But I'm glad that organizations are taking on dismantling that and making sure that every child receives a high quality public school education. Thank you.
I think Atina is next. Vijay, you are on mute, speaking to yourself.
I am so sorry. I was talking to myself. Atina Bazin.
Hi, did you unmute me? Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I echo every word of Naya's, first and foremost. How do we begin to move forward is what I would like to ask everyone in any meaningful way during these historic times when outrage is narrowly focused on rioters, denying systemic racism and securing every possible advantage while remaining silent in the face of state-sanctioned violence and everyday racism but jump at the chance to criticize and obstruct every avenue to dismantling an unjust system many publicly profess to be against. Not racist is not good enough. People were spilling out into the streets, screaming in solidarity, just to be heard. Don't you see? Anti-racism requires naming and eradicating racist practices and policies. Schools are the #1 place where young kids are actively cultivated to internalize biases across all differences. So it's in schools where we begin to create future cultures of belonging and begin to reduce racial tensions in generations to come. Our children will be our future doctors, lawyers, educators, community members, CEC members possibly, our leaders. And the bellwethers are the policies and practices, not the rhetoric or being, quote, not racist. School leaders, can you commit to leading our district into being actively anti-racist now? Remove admission screens for 2021 and support the implementation of pedagogy, curricula, and social emotional learning that are all culturally responsive and trauma informed, so that together we can begin to clear some pathways and right some historic wrongs. Our children are watching. History is watching.
Thank you so much, Katina. Thank you so much. Always good to hear from you. Stella Zhu. Stella, are you there?
Hear me?
If you could come a little closer to the microphone, that'd be great.
Okay, hi.
Here you are.
Okay, here we go. So first, I just wanted to thank the CEC for your continued commitment to communication and transparency. I heard some feedback about the survey, but I just want to acknowledge that you guys did a survey, that you performed outreach that the DOE has not done. And everybody's going to have problems with anything that you do, but you guys are doing your best. And I just want to express my appreciation for that. And I also want to express my appreciation for your forum, for you to listen to District 28 parents rather than specific advocacy groups that the DOE wants to listen to. And I just want to applaud you for maintaining accountability to ensure that parent voices are heard. With regarding to the last DOE meeting, I just want to say that that was not your fault. It was very little notice was given, and it was held on the eve of a Jewish holiday, and you did what you could. Lastly, I just want to thank Superintendent Pete for her hard work in increasing attendance and live instruction. We've spoken at the beginning of this pandemic about my feedback and experience at SAGE with live instruction, and I'm happy that it's continuing to go well. So I also wanted to thank Dr. Pate.
Thank you so much, Stella. And I want to reassure our parents and our school that we will always be a voice for your voices. I, as your president, whenever I'm your president, I will never go there on any platform and speak on what VJ believes unless we have communicated with you, our parents, and get your feedback. So that's what we will continue to do. Next person we have is Jeffrey Hershkowitz. Can you mute your, thank you. Jeffrey Hershkowitz.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I am a federally accredited advanced flight and ground instructor and require retraining every 6 months to teach and instruct students from around the world. Without the prior data, there's no ability to map the next steps for the student. Using relevant data up to March 15th is far more than sufficient. To say otherwise is not only disingenuous, but baseless in any real data format. Summer schools are needed where they are needed. Do not stop teaching. It was certainly a weird time, but many of us, it is over. I do wish the DOE and the teachers do treat everyone equally, but that is not the case and cannot be.
Jeffrey, we're not hearing you.
CEC28 for your volunteer time and coordinating what you can with what you're given.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Next we have is Ellen Chu.
Thank you, VJ. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. First, I want to say thank you for the survey. I really appreciate that. I think that was a really great effort given the short time you had. And thank you, Dr. Pate, for your very inspiring words for us this evening. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Again, my name is Ellen Chu, and I'm the parent of 4 students in District 28. I have 2 children, two children at PS 196 and 2 7th graders at Junior High School 157. I'm here to advocate for the retention of academic metrics-based admissions for screened high schools. Screened high schools should be empowered to continue admitting students based on this year's grades for marking period 1 through 3, along with 6th grade state test scores. These grades and test scores were not adversely impacted by COVID-19 in any way, and they are the closest match the DOE has to alternative data using existing rubrics for admissions. Adding new measures of some may have mentioned in the town hall, such as interviews, portfolios, narratives, they lend themselves to inherent subjectivity and a high risk of racial bias. Not to mention the burden to students, parents, and teachers for pulling these together during a pandemic, and what we are hearing will be a second wave of infections coming in the fall. Changing rules on students and families who have molded their lives to prepare for and participate in this long-standing admissions process is unjust. Changing policies to take hard-earned grades away at the end of the school year and instead throw student names into a randomized lottery, I don't think that's fair. I think that undermines and demoralizes our city's youth. For our current 7th graders, we need to acknowledge and respect the sacrifices they've made and the hard work they've invested for years toward a shot at a high school of their choice, their dream school. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak again.
Thank you, Ellen, and thank you for your feedback. We're always good to hear from you also. At this time, my dear friends, we're going to ask Elena to please put up the Pulse survey that we're going to do now. Again, this is to give all those who did not get a chance to do the survey via the Class Dojo link or our website, but who has attended this meeting, to please do so. We're going to actually be honest, right? If you're not a parent or a student of District 28, please don't fill it out. So Elena, can you please put it up, please? And everyone will get a chance to fill it out. And we'll do this at this point. Elena?
You guys see it?
Not yet. There it is. So everyone should have seen it right now. If you guys just fill this out, please, I appreciate it. Once you submit all the questions, it'll give you a button to submit, and then Elena will give us the tally at the end. Elena, do you have that information?
Yes, I have the end poll button.
Okay, so when we'll give you a few more minutes to do so, 2 minutes now.
61 people have answered so far out of 129.
Okay. Isn't Elena amazing? Her fingers are great. She's doing a great job. Thank you, Elena.
No problem. Thank you. All right, 72 out of 129 have answered, guys, 55%.
And this survey was when myself and a few of the council members who I was able to get in touch with decided to have this surveys live polling here. The idea was that we'll have one go out to all the parents in our district via Class Dojo, and then we'll have a chance here too. So our council members will have 2 points of data, one from the district across the district, and then one from today in the meeting here. Plus, we're also going to have your live comments and feedbacks here. So, and we're doing a great job, all of you parents. Thank you so much.
I just saw someone in the chat box say they don't have the survey on their screen. Is there anything we can do for them?
Well, when she posted it up, it should have gone to everybody.
Yep. Atina, did you get that? I think that's the only comment that I see from Atina.
Atina is not getting it, but yeah, it's no, I did not. So,
can we post the questions in the chat and then she can respond in the chat?
I mean, I don't want to encourage that only because I don't want to have one of us not count one person's comments, and then before you know it, it's a situation about, well, I wasn't counted. So this was the fairest way to do it. So Atina, if you can just private message Elena, that'd be great.
I don't understand what that means, a private message.
Okay, so if you go to the comment box in the bottom, you will see.
No, I mean, like, how do I actually participate in this poll? Why didn't it pop up for me? How many other people has this not popped up for?
Oh, we did not do this deliberately, believe me. There's
No
no
one
deliberate
is
action on our
implying
part.
that you did it deliberately. It's a question. The question was, how many other people has this not popped up for? Because it did not for me.
Okay, let's find out. So, Elena, how many people?
Thank you, Vijay.
Of course.
85 people have completed the survey so far out of 128. So obviously one person did not get it. So everybody else got it except for one person.
Eli did not get it also.
Since a few people did not get it, that's why I mentioned we can put it in the chat. The chat can be saved, and we can always refer to those results.
There's no way for me to copy and paste. Crystal, I don't know if you have the questions to copy and paste into it, but I cannot copy and paste the survey. It's automatic through Zoom.
Yeah, I don't have them. I'm gonna have to look through my email for them. And I could do that. Would you like me to put it in the chat?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's try it. Listen, we're gonna do this together, guys. We're gonna figure out this together. We're a community.
First time we did this. This is a trial and error for us as well.
We do everything.
I'm not able to scroll down, so it doesn't allow me to submit because I'm only up to the third question and I can't go down.
If you're using a Mac, I'm trying to scroll down with 2 fingers down. If you, I'm not sure what you're using. It might be your browser that you're using.
Yes, Kristen Gorman, it's the same questions on the Google survey form, except we did not have the grades and we didn't have the questions about your children's name, your name, etc.
I have 66% voted. So I don't know if anybody else is still filling it out or having difficulties, but we could end the poll at any point. 87 people, 66% completed.
Venus, we did not poll that question about Black or brown parents. And again, we can always take feedback. Again, guys, just give us feedback, send us emails and tell us how to do things better. We will definitely take your feedback, and we love all the ideas. It's what we do. We're a community, we build together.
Thank you, Stella.
Yes, Lena's amazing. Okay, so I will say
91 out of 130 have completed the survey, 70%.
Okay, we get it.
I would like to say something. We have people that are on the phone. How do they get the poll? There's people on the phone.
Unfortunately, you have to be on a computer to do the poll.
Yeah, I mean, we are working with the tools that we have, right? So
I did it on my iPhone.
You did it on your iPhone, Mike, Robert?
Worked for me.
Okay, I'm just.
I did it on the iPhone too. You can download the app.
But if it's somebody who's dialing in and just listening in mode, not the app.
Yeah, dialing in will not allow you to do it. That's right.
Yeah. And again, this is what learning is about, right? We try it one time, we see what the bumps are, and the next time we have a better system. Or at least we have something, right? So I think it's fair to say how much percent you have right now?
74% right now. 95 of you have completed it out of 128 that have gotten it. I can end the poll whenever you give me the thumbs up.
Let's give it away to 100 and we'll end the poll and we'll continue with the public comments.
That's good.
Just tell me when you reach 100 people, yeah?
Yep, still 95. So unless somebody is still completing it. 96.
And our admin, Crystal, is putting up the questions there. Question 1 is, are you a parent of a child in an elementary school in District 28?
I don't think that question came up.
That question did not show, Crystal, so that's okay. The original survey showed. What percentage you have now?
97, 75%. So I think we definitely have 3/4.
Yeah, let's try to get close to, you know, in research, the 80% mark is the fancy line, right? When you reach 80% retention rate, you're good. So it's fair to say that.
Yep, 97 out of 131, 74, 74 went down somehow. Same number, but 74%.
Okay, so we can continue with the public comment section. and then we'll continue on. Thank you, Zachary. See, that's what happens. Great ideas. That's what happens, Zachary. Thank you.
And we'll survey on.
Let's leave the survey up, and then we will. I was trying to get the results. I'll give it to all of you right here. But let's continue on. And once you reach the max, we'll continue on. So the next person we have is Faisal. You're up next to speak. Going once. Going twice.
I don't have that much to say, but
Now is the time.
Right now, when would the meeting end?
Very soon, but we're happy you joined, and thank you for being here. Please keep in the meeting and listen to all the comments because it's going to affect your education. And we're happy that you're here, okay? And which school do you attend? Okay, he muted himself, but yeah, there you go. They're learning technology. We're doing this. We have Simone Dornbach. Simone?
I give the room to everyone. I'm not.
Good evening. Faisal, thank you so much for being so brave and speaking. You're so young, and I really like that you're early on involved and that you attend those meetings. And also say thank you from me to your parents.
Yes.
So I'm just really surprised of what is going on in our district. I just don't get it. Like for the last half year, the parents have been fighting the diversity plan. Like people were upset about the possibility that they have to bus their kids to the south end of Jamaica, or that they have to put them into other schools in our district. When and now that they have a voice to talk about unscreening and screening schools, we only have 2 screen schools in our district, 2 screen middle schools. And those 2 screen middle schools are not the 2 schools that every white parent wants their kid to go. Those 2 screen schools are those schools you don't want to send your kids to. So why are you suddenly so concerned about what's going on outside of our district? Before you were so worried about sending your kids far away. Suddenly you want to send them out of your district? This is what I find very concerning. You keep institutionalized racism up and going. You are what you shouldn't be. Right now, we have a chance to change things. We have seen what has happened to the Black population in the south of our district. I don't understand why we cannot help children to thrive and why we have to think of our child first before we think of others. We are one community. Let's come together, make sure that we can help our Black brothers and sisters and make sure that their children can thrive as much as we can do. Thank you.
And thank you for always speaking, Simone, and thank you for giving me the feedback about including multiple languages on the survey. As you can see, your feedback was very important, and thank you, and continue to give us feedback always. So according to Elena, we have the
81% right now,
81%. So we're good with 81%. So once we hit 81%, we're good. Past 80%, we're good. That's a good representation of everybody, I believe. Do we have the polling results?
Yep.
Can you please provide it, please, to everybody? Do you have a share screen so you can share that? That would be perfect. Thank you. So according to our polls, Elena, you want to read it?
Sure. So the first question, should the grades up to March 15, 2020 be used to determine eligibility for screen schools? 81% of you said yes. For the second, and 20% obviously said no. For the second question, should attendance up to March 15th be used to determine eligibility for screen schools? 71% of you said yes, and 31% said no. For the third question, what metrics should be used for middle school admissions in the 2020-2021 school year?
Can you scroll down?
Yes. The majority said all of the above, which is 54%, accounting attendance, grades.
Elena, do you mind scrolling down so we can see your screen too? screen of the polls?
Yeah, so I think it's individual. I'm not sharing my screen.
No, I think, oh, each person could scroll on it. Oh, thank you. There you go. We're learning it.
Yep, no problem. What metric, and the last question, what metric should be used for high school admissions in the 2020-2021 school year? And again, that is both attendance and grades, all of the above is the 58% mark.
Can you please take a picture or save these results, please?
You got it.
Because we'll be using this as data for our letter, or to put forth our CEC members to discuss what our letter should look like. Okay, thank you so much. And that was, can you please record approximately how many people voted? And can you let us know, please? Out of how many?
Yes, it's not anymore, but yeah, I'll get it. It was definitely 81% out of, I'll try to get those numbers. We can proceed with the public speaking section.
Thank you so much. And you can just X out of the screen for the polling so you can just see our faces. The next person we have, Jean, you already spoke, so I will have Al Shuhu.
Yes, how are you doing?
No, let me make sure. Is there another Jean H? I should apologize for that. Is there someone else with the name Jean H? Or is it the same Jean H? Okay, so we'll continue with Al. Go ahead, Al.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm a graduate of District 28 Public Schools and Stuyvesant High School many years ago. And now my kids are in the district as well. I support diversity in schools, but significant policy changes should not be enacted under extenuating circumstances such as COVID-19 and the police brutality protests. There should be open discussions over a much longer time period before changes are made. Therefore, I support continued use of screening until a well thought out solution is proposed. So my suggestions. I agree that 3rd and 6th grade scores are not reflective. So the first case is in parent-teacher conference a few weeks ago, teachers said that they were still recording numerical grades and use those numbers to figure out the meet standards or needs improvement final grade. My question is, if the teachers are calculating these grades, why can't these grades be used for screening purposes? Second option, some suggestions were either to use the 3rd marking period or an average of the first 3 marking periods. And earlier speaker said that these grades are not representative either. I agree. So since the simple average of the 3 marking period grades is not representative, nor is the 3rd marking period grade alone, I suggest retaining the highest of the grades across the 3 marking periods for each subject. For example, if the student received the highest ELA grade in marking period 2, then use that as the final grade for ELA. If the highest grade for math was received in marking period 1, then use that as the final math grade. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Al. Next, we have Rocky Bonanno. Rocky, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, hello everyone. First, I want to say to the CEC that I hope you will discuss later on about continuing these meetings well into the summer. There's way too much going on. There's no reason why we can't continue to meet like this month after month, or maybe even every a couple of weeks. There's really strange time where so much is happening, and we really need to continue the conversation and not take a couple of months off. I am against changing the grading policy. I'm against the admissions changes. There's really no need for it at this time. There's way too much going on already. These are things that didn't just come up because of the health crisis. The chancellor has wanted these things all along. He said it the very first day he was in our city, and now he's using this as an excuse. You know, it would never perfect, it never will be perfect, but I commend all the District 28 parents for doing what you can do to help your kids, even other kids, advance along, help them along. You can't keep looking to the DOE to have all the answers, because you know what, they really don't. And I've fought with them enough times to know about this. Guys, you know, we all have to help our kids, and you know, you do the best you can. And you know what, they'll all be fine, no matter where they go to school. I just want the DOE to invest in every school, in every community. Equal opportunity is all they can really guarantee. And from there, it's all up to the kids and the parents.
Thank you, Rocky. Thank you for chiming in. Dwight Lee. Dwight.
Hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, glad to be here. So basically, I kind of echo Al's position. I was quite surprised that it was so similar to mine. Basically, I'm thinking that we need to keep things simple, especially during the pandemic, separate out the different issues involved here, right? We're talking about 1 year's worth of admissions process. You don't want to create a new policy to do this. So leveraging the data that we already have, the marking period grades, maybe even last year's state scores, attendance up to the point where people had to go home. I think that makes the most sense. It's just simple. It's not changing things very much, and that's for this year, right? The pandemic year where life is really crazy. I think the other big issue here is there's a lot of disagreement in terms of how this should have continue working forward. I think we shouldn't make big policy changes in a rush. I agree that we need to really think this through. I don't think this is an issue of diversity, but more opportunity and support for everyone equally, right? We need to basically help everyone improve, right? Get better, reach their potential. And I don't think you do that by admissions policies. I think it's really support from the beginning, giving the extra support from the day they start school or even before, but basically along the way, helping people improve in their academics, in their interactions with the community, and programs to help lift people up, I think and enrich their lives, I think are the best way to do that. So when you do get to the point where you're trying to get into a screen school, you've had all the different pieces of support along the way, right? I don't think that really should depend on how much money you make or where you live.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Dwight. Next we have is Terry Gordon.
Okay, thank you for holding this forum. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much for holding this forum and giving parents an opportunity to speak. I'm a literature professor and I'm deeply concerned about questions of diversity and racial and gender equity. For this current question, I'm concerned about process. I think we have to separate the question of admissions from the pandemic. I have 3 students in the public school system, 2 at PS 101 and 1 at Q300. I think it would be wrong and harmful to change the rules for 4th and 7th graders at the end of a school year. These students have been promised they would have choice, and they have worked hard, not just this year, but potentially since kindergarten. So that's 5 or 8 years. And I think we need to honor that choice, and that it would be traumatizing and demoralizing to take that away from them. So in terms of a solution for this year, perhaps we could open up seats in screen schools for underprivileged children. And it seems to me that a long-term solution for diversity would be to improve all of our schools and to have really tight-knit communities. So I'm very worried about the idea of dispersing children across the city, across the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you for always chiming in. Next, we have Faisal A. Faisal A, are you there? Okay, we'll move along. Next, we have is Rafael Elena.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, after the week we've had, I'm tremendously saddened by these poll results, but personally, I could give a crap about them. I don't care how uncomfortable this sounds, but Brown v. Board of Education would have polled badly in 1954. This is a moral issue, and so I want to add my support for either no screens or these screening ideas that have the expressed stated goals of inclusive, integrated schools. This week has made it clear that when we let segregated systems persist, the end result is that we have a power structure that does not value Black lives. If we want to start to dismantle institutional racism, we have to start in the schools. And in the most segregated school system in the country, it absolutely makes sense that screen schools is one of the reasons for that. They disproportionately reduce the number of Black and brown students. We have a majority Black and brown city, yet these schools don't proportionally represent them. So in a time of pandemic, can we embrace the opportunity to do the difficult work of dismantling segregated schools? I don't know how a city like New York can see a week like this one and continue to tolerate a screen system that discriminates against Black students. And in Queens itself, which has an awful, terrible history of segregation, both in housing and education, we can do the work to change that. To me, this is not a numbers issue. It is a moral stance. And we will remember if we continue to promote policies that lead to segregation. Thank you.
Thank you, Raphael. Effie Zachary? Oh,
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
So I just wanted to start with saying, recently it seems that the DOE has been making important decisions without a lot of parental input. So I want to thank the CEC for giving us, the parents, a voice. And from there, I just want to go to say, there's been a lot of debate whether the last marking period, not counting it, counting it, how important it is, how it's not. Instead of to speculate so much, it would be very easy. We have years of data. Crunch the data. Is there substantial difference in the last marking period from the previous ones, both for attendance and for grades? It would be very easy for someone who knows statistics to do this data crunching, very easy. And see, is there any kind of like validity there? Like, I mean, I personally find it hard to believe that someone who's been chronically absent a lot the first 70% of the marking year suddenly punctual at the end or something like that. But it's easy to crunch the data and just see what the results are, if it's valid in terms of prediction power. The second thing I wanted to say is regarding state test, I do feel that going back a year, by the time they go to high school, a year and a half is a bit late, like a big gap. But so far, the high school admissions process has been almost, you have to do everything by beginning of December. I see no reason why it has to be beginning of December. Why don't we make it due in the spring, and then we have more time. We can have you can have the state test, let's say in November or December, whenever is a good time to do it. And then we can use it. If somehow we can't manage to administer the test, even let's say by December, or then you can say, okay, maybe we shouldn't count them in that case, but let's give it a try. The one thing I want to say regarding, there's a lot of people talking segregation and diversity and all that. If you have a student that has 120 IQ, he's a smart student or she's a smart student. If you send that student to a school where almost everybody is 150 IQ, that student is going to struggle, feel very bad. It's going to be a huge disservice to that student. You're not doing that student any favor sending him to a school that is way above his ability or her ability. So that's something to keep in mind. So if you're going to, if people are just going to start accepting average students into a very strong school, those students will suffer, both emotionally and also academically. On the other hand, if you start to admit a lot of students, average students, into a good school, guess what? That school is no longer good. It's just an average school now. So all we did is destroy good schools.
Thank you, sir. Next we have is Derek Zhang.
Hi, Vida.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I really appreciate all the efforts that you put together. So it's a lot of work behind. We thank you very much. So my children, both children, went to PS 174, PS 175, and then 190. Now they're in high school. So I'm a District 28 parent. I strongly oppose the DOE had changed the grading policy basically to a binary pass and fail for the K to 8 student without consulting the CEC, without consulting the parents. And now I demand that no dramatic changes to the academic screening admission of 196 middle schools and 126 high schools. So if we change that, that would put the entire city to a big chance. So for the grades, we can use everything, the first 2 marking period, or give some consideration, maybe a less weight for the remote learning period. And for the state test, I have said that a few times, try to do a makeup one once the school restart on September. Well, if we cannot, so then maybe also put last year's state test score into consideration. So anything is better than nothing. It's better than a lottery. It will be totally unfair for all the kids by discussing discarding the academic screening. And then I mean, that will be a whole big mess up. I think the screening school, including the special high school and the GNT program, they all follow the same principle. You set a high standard and let all the children to compete to reach the standard. And during the competition, the students are learning, they are all elevated, and eventually all the kids becomes highly skilled and succeed. So when that happens, all the schools become high-performing schools, and then we don't need any screening. But until that, so we need that standard. We need those screening purposes. Unfortunately, there are some people, however, thinking the other way. So to eliminate all the standards. So if we're doing that, so then basically what will happen is that no kids will learn. And eventually our entire education system will collapse. So yes, there are hardships, there are all types of issues, but we adults and the government are here to address those issues rather than to surround those issues.
Thank you, Derek.
So, okay, thank you, Wija. Thank you.
Always commenting. I'm happy to always hear your comments. Terry, do you mind muting yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're totally fine. That great lighting in the background, though. Great ambiance. Next we have, someone asked a question in there. Some people that answer the polls are not parents in D28. Is that okay? Yes, because we only took 80% of the votes. So we left the 20% of the people who voted as a margin of error in some way that, you know, so once we reach 80% of the parents who voted, that's what we went with for the poll. So of course, you're gonna always have people who does not belong to the district, who wants to come in and bomb our meeting and vote. Listen, we are taking the majority of it, and we are taking these as guides, as suggestions for our letter. Thank you for your question, Ifat Golden. Next we're going to have is Eric Zoloff.
Yeah. Yes. Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Great. Thank you. I want to just start by saying I'm very concerned about the ways in which the mayor and the chancellor are seeking to use these multiple crises that we're going through to bring about dramatic change by fiat. And I'm very thankful for the district's holding of these forums. It's very important. I'm an educator myself, and I can tell you, as any educator would tell you, that grades and attendance do matter. They matter quite a bit as indicators of students' both potential and their desire to learn, their aspirations to learn. And when we look at the survey results, both what was distributed just now and the one that had been distributed from earlier yesterday, they show overwhelming support for the use of grades and attendance as key metrics for discussing what will happen going forward. I have 3 children. One child is in a gifted and talented program in Queens. The other 2 are in elementary school. Both the children and the parents were promised choice in the New York system, meaning that they had the option to choose a specialized school, one that matches their skills and their aspirations. And I want to echo the statements by the last several speakers in that regard. If the city and the state can improve the local schools, absolutely, that is the best option. Clearly, we all want our local community schools to be our option of first choice. We want strong local schools, without question. But really, well, I just want to say that I'm very much opposed to the mayor and the chancellor seeking to break what works, which is our gifted and talented and our specialized schools, rather than trying to fix what is broken, which are our local schools. And one last thought, excuse me. I really object to the notion that those of us who support screening are somehow opposed to dismantling larger systemic issues around racism and inequality. That is absolutely not fair, and it's untrue. And I think it's wrong to try to pull any kind of race or class cards around these issues. We're all concerned about our schools, improving our schools, and having best options for our children.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we have ran through our list of speakers. I'm so happy that we did that. Thank you all for respecting the time and giving each of your fellow community members a chance to really speak. I really and truly appreciate that. I want to acknowledge that we do have our CC member, Andy Medesting, with us, and thank you for joining us, Andy. So I will change the absent to present in our list over here. Present. Thank you, Andy. I want to acknowledge Deputy Superintendent Sue Kong. Ms. Kong, you were here. You want to say hi?
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to see all of you.
Thank you for being here.
And yes, I just want to, send message of, good health, be safe and be well. Always, support wherever we can, do whatever we can for the rights of people around us. And I just want to thank you all for being so supportive every time coming to the CEC, and the numbers that we have has been increasing. So I thank you for your participation and support. And I'm always here. Our team members are always here. Dr. Pate is such a ferocious warrior and a leader that we are so thankful for. And therefore, we are all together. We need to be united. And that's the message we have to send, to be united. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kong. Always a pleasure to have your words of inspiration and reassurance. Thank you for your leadership. We want to acknowledge Bibi Matadin from FACE. Bibi, you there? Just want to say hi quickly. Bibi, are you there still? I saw you. Okay, then we're gonna move on. The poll was shown again, Elena. Okay, the next person we're gonna have is, so I know we also have Principal Sirachi and Principal Greco on the call today too. Principal Sirachi, is there anything you want to add, sir?
Hi, Principal Sirachi's virtual prom is tonight, so he had to leave about 10 minutes ago.
No problem. What about Principal Greco? Are you there? You want to say a few words?
No, I just want to thank everybody for your input, and it just helps me think about what I want next year to look like. So I appreciate listening, and thank you all very, very much.
And your school is one of the screened schools in our district, correct?
No, we're not screened.
Okay, thank you. Next, we're gonna have any other principals we have on the line. I think Ms. Hicks is here. Tiffany Hicks, are you there?
Hi, I'm here. No comments. I think as a proud principal from South Jamaica, we just did a parade today for our entire school community. And it was beautiful to see everyone come out, because this has been a heavy week for all of us. Me as a parent of a son, a 21-year-old daughter, the work is hard and the lift is hard. And what I told my families was that my commitment and what we did today, I'm going to ensure that I move mountains to make sure that their children receive a fair and equitable education within our building, to make sure that they know their voice matters and that they count and that they'll be heard. And hopefully between myself and my colleagues and our work that we do tirelessly and nonstop, an object of screen schools won't be an issue, because we're going to make sure that they're ready to succeed anywhere. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you. That's powerful. Are there any other principals on the call? Dr. Pate, do you see any of your other principals on the call? You're muted.
I don't see any other. Sue, do you
Okay.
see anyone else?
Are there any other principals on the call? Going once?
Hello,
Going
hi, this is Principal Hasbury Signal, but I just joined.
Yeah, please go. Please, guys, give us a few words.
No, I literally just joined while Principal Hicks was speaking. So I'm not sure where you are in the agenda. So I'm just here to support or any questions that we have. And I'm here on behalf of the South Jamaica community of PS 140.
Just happy to hear your voice. Thank you so much for being here.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Is that all? Going once, going twice for principals? Great. So my dear friends and community members and leaders of our district, this is what the Grade 28 looks like. A place where we can come together, we can unite our voices, and we can agree to disagree. We can agree to disagree, but have a platform where all of our voices get a chance to be heard. We're happy to have all of you here. We want to encourage all of you to be well, take care of your families, be safe out there, and really, fight for what you believe in, but fight peacefully, right? Fight with love and respect and unity, because together we can get anywhere we want to get. This call today was very impactful in terms of all of you speaking and all of you giving us your feedback about what diversity, what school admission policies should look like from the DOE. Now that that CEC28 have engaged the community on various platforms through a survey, through a live poll, and through public comment engagement, now we are in a better place to make a comment in the form of a letter. So what we're going to do, we're going to take all your comments. We've all listened to it. We have saw your polls, how you felt about things. We have saw from the survey what you felt about things. And we will take all this information and put it together, and we will sit and discuss in our business meeting next, which any of you can join our business meeting next. There's a separate Zoom link on the flyer there. I'll ask Elena to put up that Zoom link at the end. So any one of you in the community can join that business meeting next, and you can listen to us debate what we want to put on the letter, but you cannot comment, yeah? So we will take all your feedback, all your comments, and we will sit down together and put together a letter, which will be public from the CEC28, and we will attempt to speak at the next Queen's engagement, now that we have a proper feedback, and also we'll email this letter across the board to every platform, to every educator across the board, to everyone, what we feel, what we felt, what we heard from our community, and what we heard from our parents in our district here. Having said that, I would like to ask Dr. Pate if there's anything else you want to add before I close off. Dr. Pate?
Hi. I remembered to unmute. I'm happy that I was here tonight to participate in this meeting and to hear such a wide variety of input about this very, very difficult subject. I do want to encourage everyone, as I had to try to take my eyes off of the comment section. I think we should be very careful about reinforcing some of the things that are not as positive in our language and the way we're responding and speaking to each other. This is a difficult subject. It's a difficult thing to encounter. It's a difficult thing to resolve. And every one of us has skin in the game. Every one of us. I also have a child in District 28. And so it is important that we sort of have two in one for a reason, right? Like we're supposed to listen twice as well as we speak. And I just want to encourage us to be better listeners to and of each other. It's a difficult subject. I don't think anyone is going to tell you it's not, because I don't want to not have something for my child, and neither do you. But there's a way for us to come together as a community, because that is what we are. We have to show the entire world what it looks like for people who are deeply passionate about the children, what it looks like for us to get together to work the problem and come up with a solution. And in order for us to do that, we have to listen twice as well as we speak. And we have to be open to hearing, divergent ideas. When we throw things out there and we listen and we take those things and we mull them over respectfully, you would be amazed at what as a community we can come up with. So I thank everyone for being a part of this conversation today. I'm very transparent. I hope everyone gets that from me. Who you see today, yesterday, and tomorrow will be the same person. I'm old enough to say that with a smile. So what I would say to you is we should be mindful, because if we are saying that we want to function as a community, we want to be solicitous of each other, we want to show respect, our chat should not look the way it does. And so I'm encouraging everyone in this beautiful district. It is a beautiful district. I'm encouraging each of us to really be mindful of how we engage each other and know that we can find a solution. And it's not easy. This is not easy. Those of you who want easy, perhaps find another district. This is not going to be an easy conversation. It's a worthwhile conversation. And it happened in the context of school improvement across the board. That is my 1000% mission. That I will leave this place, hopefully no time soon, if you all say the same. I will leave this place better than what I found it. And so I thank you for a moment. Look at your beautiful baby. Thank you for this opportunity. But you all must be mindful of how we are engaging each other.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pate. I want to acknowledge our President's Council co-chairs, we have Shirley Aubin and Jessica Zillo. I'll just give you 1 minute each. President's Council, Shirley Aubin, can you go first? Shirley Aubin, and
give me a second.
Okay.
I really don't have much to say. I'm just going to echo most of what the superintendent and Sonia said, but I'm just going to leave one thought. Nobody cares how much you know. They care how much you care, how much you show. People not going to listen until they know you care. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Shirley. And then Jessica Zillo.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to this meeting and having this conversation. And just let's continue the conversation for everything that impacts our district and perhaps other school children as well.
Thank you very much. So my dear friends, we have reached the end of this calendar meeting today. We want to thank all of you for your patience. All of you stayed on. We have 116, well, now they're jumping off. But before we jump off, can you all unmute your microphones, please? And can we all together, what is here? Can we all say together, we are District 28 strong together. So we're going to say it together is, we are District 28 strong with a fist up. On the count of 3, do together. 1, 2, 3. We are District 28
together.
Together
and strong.
Together and strong.
Together and strong.
Together and strong. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Have a good evening. This meeting is adjourned. And you can unmute yourself and say byes and sing a song for us. Go for it.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
It's so good to see you all.
Thank you.
Take care.
Only one share.
On your computer, save your
Our business meeting will start in approximately 5 minutes.
Have a great night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Cynthia.
Thank you, Mr. Greco.
Good to see you.
Lena, be well. Thank you so much for tonight. I want to call you for a tutorial.
Thank you, everyone.
Mr. Zhang.
See you tonight.
Bye, Vaija.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Bay. Yeah.
Have a good
See you in person soon. Yeah.
Ines, take care.
Nancy.
Nice to see you. Thank you. Take care. Take care.
Bye, Dong Hoi.
Thank you.
Who else do I see?
Can you post the business meeting link again?
Yes, the business meeting link. Can you post, please?
Oh, okay, got it. Thank you, Vija. Oh, that's your daughter. Hi, how are you?
Beautiful.
Okay, yeah, so beautiful. Okay, thank you.
Bye, everyone. Take care. Good night. Be
Bye,
safe.
Ines.
Be well.
Bye.
Please come.
Bye, Simone.
Yeah.
Bye, Tina. Bye, Natalie. Galaxy 58. Nick. I'm trying to say
Bye. Yeah, thank you.
Jaden, iPad, and something.
Take care.
Saba parent. Hi, bye,
David,
Dwight, Lee, Zachary, Alma. Can you pronounce those names?
I'm sure she can.
Bye. Say bye, Jane. Bye, Richard.
Bye.
Uncle Richard.
Aw, that's adorable.
Say bye to me.
Bye.
Bye, Ian. Yeah, Yael. Y-A-E-L. Thank you for joining us. Ethan. And Nan O-K-Y-I. Thank you for joining us. S, thank you for joining us. Galaxy 5, S8 Plus. Melissa, thank you. Alma, thank you. Melissa, yes. Alma. I know. And Cynthia, thank you for joining us too.
My pleasure.
I was happy to have PS121.
PS21, that's right. We're in the house. Strong.
How's the kids doing? Everyone as well?
Oh, Emily as well. She's well. I see your little love bug over there. Hello, honey.
Say hi. Okay. Excellent.
Are you gonna? When is the meeting that you guys were referring to? That we needed the code. Is that for right after this?
Right after this. It's on the chat right now. That's the meeting where you can listen to.
Okay. Let me get that code. It's in the chat as well.
It should be in the chat right there. You'll see it.
Okie dokie.
And if you look at the PTA chat for PS121, it's on there also. There's 2 links, one on the top of the meeting and one on the bottom is for the next meeting.
Okay.
And is this on a Zoom platform or?
Yes, it is.
Okie doke. So
Okay.
the CEC28.org, that isn't the code for the Zoom, is it?
No, but if you go on there, you'll find the agenda that has the code.
Scroll down.
I'm sorry, go on where?
Scroll down on the page, you'll see agenda. The top is the current meeting we just had, and the bottom is the meeting we're about to have.
Oh, CEC20, I don't see that on mine.
I'll give you the Zoom link directly. Give me a second.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. So Alma, thank you. Natalie, thank you. Saba Parent, thank you. Galaxy 5 S8 Plus. It's a great phone, I think. Right?
Did you just put it in?
Yeah, give me a sec.
iPad and somebody, and then Nano. How you pronounce that last name? KYI.
Give it to you.
I see it.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining. Happy joining time. Okay, so Crystal, we can end this meeting now, and let's start the other one, and let's have the room open so we can.
All right. Do you need a passcode?
Nope, we can just use this link.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you guys. Be safe.
Thank you. Thank you all. So I'll see you all
care.
on the other side. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bye.
I'm gonna end the recording.
Pardon me?